Welcome. It is the weekly Premier Property Q&A, answering your questions all around property, whether you're starting or whether you're scaling. You are most welcome. And if we haven't met before, well, my name is Cam Dwighty. I'm the founder of Premier Property, and we're going to jump into questions right now, like what I say, from our Premier Property community. And we've got a number of questions here, all around development actually today. Quite interesting. So the first one I'll jump into is asking, Cam, when purchasing a commercial unit, who pays the rates when the property is actually empty? Well, unfortunately, it's going to be you. Yeah, while the property is empty, just like council tax for residential properties, you will have to pay rates for your commercial unit while the property is empty. However, one of the hacks that we have at Premier is if you are able to get a charity to move into that unit, if it's ready for that, then that means your rates are going to typically be zero, depending on which council you are in the country. But in most councils, most boroughs, you'll find that the rates end up being zero. Another little workaround, which many people don't know about, is live-in guardians. Yes, no rates with that scenario. If you're interested in knowing more about that one, well, then comment below and I will do a video on live-in guardians. Very useful right now where we are in the economy in 2022 and 2023 as we head into 2023, now where there's a lot of commercial properties that are being left empty. Great ways of reducing your costs. Like your question, another question from our Premier Property community. I'm going to jump into the next one. So the next question is about bungs to the agents. So the question is, how do you pay bungs to estate agents? How do you do that? What are the specific words you use? Okay, so now the thing is, it's always good to get a discount, and it's great to work with people. But Premier, you don't need to give any bungs or any of that kind of stuff going on. You can do everything legally, correctly, and still get a deal. So here are a couple of tips for you that works really well, especially with commercial estate agents. So the first one is to ask them to invoice you for retaining their services. And you can shout that loud and proud in the office. That's absolutely fine because you've asked to retain their services. So, Mr. Madam Estate Agent, I'd just like to retain your services. What is that fee for that? Feel free to invoice me. So that is something that really works in the real world. Another thing that you can ask these commercial agents is actually to retain their services for you as a property developer. So on a monthly retainer. So many agencies will do this for you. Typically, the independent ones will definitely do this for you. So you ask the commercial agent, I would like to retain your services on a monthly retainer. How much would that be? What's the investment for that? And what you've actually said there is, help me find projects and deals. I'm paying you on a regular basis for your services and your guidance. And typically, people work with people that work closely with them, so you've got more chance of getting deals. Okay, so we're going on to our third and fourth question. So two more questions to come along. Hopefully you're enjoying this, and if you haven't subscribed, you know what I'm going to say. Feel free to subscribe. In fact, you see it glowing on the screen right now. Press that subscribe button, and there's that bell icon for the latest notifications, because I am doing a lot of videos, very useful ones that you can use in your property investing and developing world. I'm in a bit of a funny mood today. But let's get on to the third and fourth and final question then. So our third question is, what is the minimum size of a one-bedroom studio flat within London? And then there's a tag-on question on this. If approval has been granted for less than the minimum, can you start the build process? So back in April 2021, the minimum sizes standard came into place. And that is 39 square meters for a studio as a bare minimum. You gotta have that space as a bare minimum. However, you can get it down to 37 if you have a shower rather than a bathroom area. So if you have a shower instead of a bath. So what I'm saying is 37 square meters seems to be a good number to work from. However, prior to April 2021, well, there was no minimum standards. Somebody could decide to actually have a 20 square meters or 25 square meters. To be fair, you can get quite a lot into a 25 square meter space, just saying. But you can't do that anymore because in April 2021 the rules changed. However, if you have planning for something that's already there, which says that each unit is less than 37 square meters, well then that is still acceptable because the rules and regulations when that was actually applied are relevant right now. So typically planning lasts 3 years. If someone's actually made a material change on site and building control have confirmed that, well then that is an ongoing process, so you have much more time, and whatever has been agreed has been agreed. In fact, we've got a couple of projects where we just finished off one of them on the year gone, and we had the same scenario. So even though the sizes had changed, you can still be doing the project because that planning says that. Moving forward though, for anything and everything that we're getting planning for, we've got a number of projects that we're getting planning for right now, and those are a minimum of 37 square meters. You've got to work with the system. So that's your answer on that one, sir or madam, whoever it is. I've got no name on this one. And finally, we're on to the fourth question. Have you really? Have you subscribed? Get on with it, Cam. All right. Just having a bit of fun today. Okay, so question here being asked is when a planning application has lapsed, do you still have to seek prior approval again for the planning? So this is a really good hack. It's one of my most exciting hacks. So lapse planning that was there, but someone just didn't get around to it. People, because let's be honest, life gets in the way, doesn't it, for people out there, right? So what happened? You had something that was really good right in front of you, and then you let it lapse. Well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is you got to now apply for planning. However, typically 80% of the time, in my experience anyway, what you find is that lapse planning, you ain't got to do a lot to it. It's a few tweaks here and there. You might need to adhere to new legislation that's come in. For example, I mentioned earlier on in this video, April 2021, when the room sizes, the actual the floor sizes changed. The gross internal area that you can actually have for a flat has changed. So you might get caught out by something like that. But typically, if not too much has changed and it's a recent lapse planning, then you can literally go in for that planning again. In situations like this, at Premier, we don't go in for the pre-planning again. We just go for the planning itself because we assess what the lapse planning is. And like all the stuff I just said, we marry that into that. And if the site works, we'll just go for the planning application again. You do need to put in a full planning application, but all the preliminaries have already been done. The planning was there previously, so it's a tick in the box. And by the way, it's a great way of getting deals right now in 2022, and as we head into a bigger recession in 2023, because it's a great way for you to actually find your margins there, because the planning has lapsed. The seller knows that they haven't got planning, so the value of that property, of course, is going to be less, isn't it? But as soon as you get the planning, what happens? Yes, of course, the rate planning gain happens, and you have a good deal. Exciting. In a bit of a mischievous mood today, but I hope you've enjoyed today. And feel free to subscribe and like. It's Cam Dwighty helping you take your property investing to the next level. I'll see you same place next week. See you later.